Hey, Trucked Up guys and gals. There's a flurry on YouTube from every single auto-related or EV channel out there regarding the big August 11th event by Ford and Jim Farley, the revolutionary moment that we've all been waiting for from Ford, what Jim Farley, the CEO, referred to as a Model T moment. We're going to dive right into this and look at what was actually revealed and whether or not it is a Model T moment, or is it just another legacy auto nothing burger? So stick around for some honest views. Let's get totally trucked up. I own an F-150 Lightning. I love this truck. It has tons of quirks. You'll see some of those demonstrated in an upcoming video. It's not exactly a walk in the park as far as owning the EV truck space, though right now they're number one yet again, ahead of every other EV truck manufacturer. But I've been prognosticating, let's call it, that Ford is losing interest in its own vehicle, that has no intention of continuing through with the Lightning, and I've made the speculation that by 2027, they're probably going to drop it. I've made 2 or 3 videos now on the fact that Jim Farley and the messaging coming out of Ford corporate has been a 180-degree pivot away from a commitment to full-size light-duty pickup trucks as EVs that says they're unsustainable, they're untenable, it's impossible, they don't meet all of the requirements that everybody who owns a truck wants, long-distance towing and hauling and being able to take the boat to the lake 500 kilometers away, blah, 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 because we all know that that same individual who's been preaching that lately a year earlier was saying how 80 to 90% of trucks in general never do any of those things. And almost all of them don't drive more than 80 kilometers or 50 miles a day. So what really is going on here? Is Ford backpedaling? We sure are hearing a lot about EREVs. We're sure hearing a lot more about a move back to internal combustion. And we've seen the money being pulled out by Ford of a lot of their EV divisions. But they didn't hear. On August 11th, they're making like a $5 billion bet. And they're betting on this new revolutionary platform where they're going to be taking the old standard assembly line and turning it into this kind of trident. They're looking like it's coming in from 3 or 4 different sources where the vehicle is already pre-built and then brought together. Where have we heard that before? So everyone's been wanting me to comment on this. What do I think of this? I think it's kind of funny because all we're seeing here is desperation. We're seeing a legacy auto company, unlike many, understand that if they don't pivot now, they're toast. They're dead in the water. They'll get wiped off the face of the planet within 5 years from a competitive standpoint. So they're doing it because it's better than not doing it. If they don't do it, they know they're toast. Jim Farley has said as much. He's said it every year for the past 3 years in various different events that he's been at. Then he talked about Skunk Works, and he BS'd everybody by saying that he didn't even have keys to the Skunk Works and didn't know what was going on. Now he's saying that, well, that was kind of a joke. He basically spearheaded it, and he was in charge of the team from day one. But the fact remains that what we saw was all these startup key engineers and people who come over from Tesla, come over from Rivian, come over from all of these different, cutting edge, leading edge, bleeding edge firms, and brought it all together in one house, tiny, streamlined team to make something epic. But did they? I also mentioned that no vehicle would be rolled out. And I took a lot of flack for that over the past few weeks, but sure enough, no vehicle was rolled out. They teased one. They teased their new mid-sized truck. Didn't talk about battery size, didn't talk about range, didn't talk about any of the details around the truck and what it's capable of doing. And we know that all of this is going to start happening around 2027. So there's 2 things that I think came out of this. One is they're about to get back into the small vehicle space. About 8-10 years ago, Ford dumped all of their cars. They got rid of the Focus. They got rid of everything other than SUVs and trucks. And the only thing that they kept was the Mustang, the internal combustion Mustang, because that was their flagship vehicle. Everything else was gone. If this goes through, Ford's going to re-enter that market because they know they have to. However, the one strong message that came out of this was it's going to be so streamlined that you can just put your top hat vehicles on top, which we've been hearing about for now a decade. And we're going to be able to produce all these different vehicles under this one universal platform. And we're going to come out with a mid-size truck, $30,000. Wow. So I'm impressed. Are you? That sounds a lot like the F-150 Lightning when they rolled that out. In fact, they didn't just say they were going to do it. They did it for about 2 months. The F-150 Lightning Pro came out at $39,960 and change for, like I said, a very short window. And then they cranked the price up almost 40%. And that's on the Pro, the one that nobody could get, the one that was deliberately made for fleets. Everything else went up $20,000, $30,000 and priced itself right out of the market. So take this with a grain of salt. There's not going to be a $30,000 mid-size EV truck from Ford, just like there wasn't a $39,000 for the masses EV Lightning. The fact that this lines up with 2027 says that's probably the date that they're going to shoot the Lightning in the head. I don't think we'll have an F-150 Lightning available for sale after 2027. They're going to replace it. And I think what we're going to see is an E-Rev coming out of their combustion line. And we're going to see this mid-size top hat platform Maverick-esque EV coming out in 2027. As far as the technology that gets them there, there's nothing new here at all. The assembly line change, the streamlining of parts, the structural battery pack, the large gigacastings, none of the entire August 11th reveal was unique. Nothing new. It's just they're starting to do it. They're taking a $5 billion bet on staying in the game. So if they don't do it, they won't be in the game. Will that $5 billion pay off? I think they could totally flush it down the toilet, or it's going to work. It's going to go one way or the other. It'll be up to what Americans buy. It'll be up to whether Americans buy in to what's being delivered in 2027. But the vehicle itself is simply streamlining the production process, going to gigacastings, which I have some issues with, though it's massive parts reduction. It's fantastic from a manufacturing perspective. This is getting back to the kind of the Tesla dilemma. Is it the best thing for the buyer? Is it the best thing for a truck owner? Will it produce a product that works for us? Or is it a product that works for the manufacturer? Are gigacastings the best thing? From a manufacturing perspective, they're brilliant. They eliminate hundreds upon hundreds of parts. If you modularize and put everything into these components that are easy to lift and just pop, 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 everything goes in, the whole process is streamlined and efficient. Man, that's fantastic from a manufacturing perspective. But right to repair, able to actually modify the vehicle, do anything with it? No, you're going to be buying modules and bits that are all prepackaged and fit together into one standard universal package that's going to be under a van, a truck, a car, an SUV, a sports car, a sedan, a coupe. They're all going to be the same vehicle with a new top hat on top. So is that good for truck owners? I don't think so. I think that this is their answer to making their EV division profitable. Is that good? Yeah, it's good for Ford. Is it good for the consumer? Yeah, kind of. That can be debated. As we start to strip everything down from what we all want to what the manufacturer is willing to give us, the flexibility starts to disappear and the product becomes more homogenized. So what I'm hearing out of Ford is every single thing that Tesla has done, every single thing that Rivian has tried to do, some of the things that were done by Lucid but not very effectively, but more importantly, what's being done in Korea and China, they are adopting. So all of these things that came out in the August 11th event are all old news. They're all being done in China already. They're already being done by Tesla. Every single component of this is basically what can we dredge up from everybody else that'll actually work really well. So do I think we're seeing anything out of this that is groundbreaking? I think we will at a component level. I think once the details come out about the little bits and pieces that they teased, we'll see some amazing things on that front. But as I said in my last video, if they haven't mastered software, they're toast anyway, because Ford is failing miserably on integrating the most important component in the modern EV in a world with ADAS and all kinds of changes that are happening where the automobile isn't just a means of transportation anymore. They're behind. GM is actually surpassing them. If we don't see a massive change there, which again was teased but nothing was released, Ford will not survive. It's just that simple. That is the key and why BYD, Hyundai, Kia, Rivian, Lucid, Tesla is dominating, because they're leading in those areas of what customers want. Even with all the disasters with the Cybertruck and how badly it's been failing, if you talk to the owners of them, even in all of what's happened with them, you're going to hear a couple things. There's nothing that matches the software. There's nothing that matches the driving experience. There's nothing that matches the user interface. Ford is so far from that. It's becoming increasingly dangerous. What was the biggest shock for me in the whole reveal? There wasn't one. Everything was a tease. There was no detailed information of anything. Everything was just washed over as if this was going to create some kind of hype. And watching all the videos that are out there kind of looks like there was a lot of hype created. I'm going to get a lot of flack yet again for this video, but Ford delivered nothing on August 11th. Ford implied they're doing lots of different things, and there's massive change coming, and there's going to be this great new product coming with absolutely zero details on any of it. The only good thing I think that came out of the event was it doesn't sound like they're going to go away entirely from modular packs. The prismatic end, they're going to use the structural end of it like BYD does, so they're still serviceable. I think that's a really smart move. If they go to the glued masses that Tesla uses, that's just dumb. It's fantastic for making money. It's fantastic for the company to profit. But for the end user, it's terrible. If you have any kind of problem in the future, it's not serviceable. The whole pack's got to go. So I'm happy to see that that looks like it's developing, and they're going with smaller packs. They streamlined everything down to a point where these things can be very, very efficient. I think we're going to get somewhere comparable in range to what the F-150 Lightning does now. I'm not expecting anything more than 300 miles or 500 kilometers of range, but don't expect the towing capacity to improve. Don't expect the towing losses to improve. Don't expect the payload to improve. You're going to end up with a more generic Maverick-esque truck. So from a EV truck perspective, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that they didn't double down. They didn't go all in. They bailed on a commitment to the best-selling vehicle for the past 47 years in the United States until it just got surpassed last year. And that is the full-size light-duty pickup truck. That's what people want. I'm seeing a commitment and a doubling down by GM. I'm seeing Scout come into the picture with the Terra, and I think they're going to double down. Stellantis is a no-show on almost every front. But if you think China and Korea aren't going to hit the market hard and with innovation like you've never seen, Ford needed to double down on the most important vehicle in their fleet. They have not made a major improvement to the Lightning since the heat pump of 2024. They've made tweaks. And there's been so many things discovered about the vehicle that could be improved, and Ford hasn't done anything with any of it. And I won't even get into the software. Stay tuned for that in a coming video. This may sound like I just hate everything Ford, that I hate everything that's coming out of Skunkworks. No. As I've said, I love the Lightning. I think it's a brilliant piece of vehicle. And it's because, and the number one reason why it's the best-selling EV truck still, is because it's a real pickup truck that can do real pickup truck things. And it can even be modified to some degree. If you disagree, if you have another take on what you saw from the August 11th event, I'd love to hear your comments below. I've gone through the entire thing, and I wish I hadn't. I hope that Ford can survive. I hope that this moves them in the right direction, that they haven't completely bailed on EV adoption and EV investments. So they're making that. If there's one good thing, that's it. That's a fantastic thing. But from an EV truck perspective, from what I think has to be invested in and researched and aggressively attacked like a spearhead vanguard, the one place where the superiority to these other markets, China, Korea, Japan, Europe, is because we have the full-size pickup for this market. And to not fully go at it and say do or die on every front for this to make it is just such a sad moment for the advancement of full-size light-duty EV trucks in North America. Tell me what you think below. Be respectful. Don't attack the person, attack the content. And also want to hear if you got something out of it that I missed. I just want to thank you so much for you supporting this channel. We are growing, and the only reason we're growing is because of all of you. Again, thanks for watching.